All right, my perfect little guinea pig. Let's get to work. Okay, so a couple years back, I did a video on how to tighten joints, specifically ball joints and mushroom pegs, without using things like floor polish or super glue. And you can check the card up there to take a look at that if you are so inclined. Thing is, while that technique is great in most instances, it does have its limits. For one thing, if the joints are more out in the open, then you can totally see the paper towel sticking through. For another, it will not work on pinned joints or joints that are otherwise not accessible, like, unless it's a ball joint that you can actually get to or a mushroom peg that you can unpeg, then the trick does not work. So I'm going to go over how to both tighten and loosen joints using floor polish and shock oil. It's kind of a 2-for-1 deal here. And Lugnut is going to be our guinea pig, as I mentioned in the beginning, because he actually has both things happening with him, this particular figure anyway. The problem I have with Lugnut is his heels, like the forward motion on his heels, is a little too loose for my liking, which makes it kind of easy, especially considering how big he is, that he can kind of topple forward. You can kind of see it's not wanting to hold. I mean, you can still balance him and he's fine. It's just, that those hinges could hold up a little bit better. Conversely, he also has a thumb joint that takes quite a bit of force to get to move. Not like I'm afraid I'm going to break it, but enough that it makes posing kind of annoying. So he gets to be both things today. All right, step 1, starting with the feet. Pun not intended. We are going to tighten up the hinges in those ankles there. So I've got my little tub of floor polish and a toothpick, which is all you need. And for anyone wondering, this right here is the brand of floor polish that you want to use for the tightening of joints. This with the what is it? There's a thing. It's with Future, I believe. That's gonna be, yeah. I don't know where in all this nonsense the specific ingredients you're looking for are, but it is this specific brand and this specific type of floor polish that gets the job done. And I got this bottle months ago, and I've barely cracked the surface on it. So yeah, this will last you probably for beyond a lifetime, but still good to have. All right, so the reason I've got the little sealable container is because this way I can just squirt some into the container, use it, and just kind of leave it. I don't have to, I can reseal it when I'm done, put it away. I don't have to keep throwing away or cleaning containers that I put the floor polish in. Instead, I could just put it in here, use it. If this runs out, just add more and keep going. Much, much better that way. Far less wasteful, and just generally speaking, less of a pain in the butt. So I'm going to put that in. I'm going to dip our toothpick in there, and I'm just going to let that sit for a second. Let it soak up some of that polish. And while that soaks up, we will look at his feet. So the joint that I want to tighten is right in there. That little black bit in between the green there. That is the part that's a little bit loose. So I'm going to get his foot out of the way there so we can get access to the joint. Take our toothpick, and we just want like a little bit, like a little drop. A little droplet. We want to angle it in. Doing this on a camera is weird. And just get the drops into the crevices where the joint connects. And then just work it up and down. back and forth, however you please, and it'll start to stiffen up, presuming we did it right. May actually need more floor polish on here. There's a good drop, okay. Might actually be a little too big. Bring that in, and this is hard to do with a camera in front of my face. I think I missed the joint. It's okay, it's just floor polish. All right, so get that in there, and get it working. Tilt it to the side, let gravity help out. I don't think I'd have any more luck coming in from the front. Okay, I can kind of feel it stiffening up a little bit now. This is the exciting stuff. Okay, there I can feel it going like almost immediately. Okay, yeah, I totally was off base with the other foot. Might have to redo that after this. Yep, working it up and down, can definitely feel it stiffening. Hopefully that will get the job done. This one still just feels significantly looser than this one. This is exciting, isn't it? So the way this works is the floor polish just basically acts as a thickening agent, and it thickens up the area where it's placed, which will result in there being more friction, and more friction means the joint will be tighter. Science! The thing with floor polish is it may not take right away. Like, I've had figures where it didn't feel like the floor polish was stiffening things up, though there it kind of goes. Where it didn't feel like it, but then, you know, I would let the figure sit and the floor polish would do its trick, and then the joints would be nice and stiff. So essentially you just want to let the polish do its thing. You know, work it into the joint, move it up and down a bunch. Yeah, that one feels much better. This one still no, but I'm going to let it sit, just in case. Because sometimes it does take a little while for it to get really going. But you just let it sit, like basically let it sit overnight. And occasionally what I'll do is I'll just like, you know, pick it up off the shelf after a couple hours, work the joint a little bit, put it back down, leave it on the shelf for a couple hours, pick it up, work the joint, put it back down. Just to, you know, keep things moving. I don't think that's strictly necessary, but at the very least, you definitely want to work it and then let it sit and then check it like the next day or so. And once you do that, you can, generally speaking, have joints that hold up a lot better. And now we come to the other side of the coin, or joint as it were, and we're going to loosen up a stiff joint, which is that thumb, as I mentioned. Now, I talked a little bit about this where in the vlog where I mentioned getting Mastermind Creations Commodus and how I use this to loosen up some of his scary tight joints, but I never actually got to demonstrate it. So, I've got shock oil right here. This is the brand that I used. Just got it off of Amazon. I will, assuming I can find it, I will include a link in the description for this specific shock oil. And if I can, I'll also try to find a link for the floor polish, if I can. I don't know if it's available online or not, but I'll give it a shot. But yeah, this is the shock oil that you want to use. This is meant to lubricate the shock absorbers for remote control cars. I just thought that was interesting. Application for this works exactly the same as floor polish. The only difference is we're loosening instead of tightening. So I've got a fresh toothpick. Definitely want to be a fresh toothpick. Don't want to be using the toothpick that has floor polish all over it. That would probably not be great. Just gonna angle this down so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. And this is just my junk napkin here. So I'm gonna take the cap off the shock oil and put a little bit on the toothpick. There we go. That's probably too much actually, but that's okay. Seriously, this stuff goes a long way. So kind of see a little droplet hanging there. We will try to shake some of that off. There we go. That's much better. So we've got a teeny tiny droplet, and we're just going to apply our teeny tiny droplet of shock oil to the joint right in there, and then start working that joint. And I can already feel it moving a little bit better. I think I'm going to get the other side of the thumb too. But like I said, it's exactly the same as the floor polish. It's just that it loosens the joint rather than tightening. Actually, no, I think that moves freely enough that it's still tight, but it's takes a lot less effort. I can kind of, yeah, well, just for good measure, I'll do the other side. And yeah, that is way better. Way better. I think actually am going to take a little bit of a napkin, just wipe some of the excess oil that might be, yeah, you can kind of see it. It's hard to see on the lights, but there's a little bit of oil kind of hanging off of it. But yeah, that has loosened up the thumb. It still holds perfectly fine. It's just not as intense. And there you have it. That is it for tightening and loosening joints. It's really simple. As long as you can get a toothpick with a little drop of fluid to the joint in question, you should be able to pull this off no problem. Really, I cannot speak highly enough of the floor polish and the shock oil here. I'm surprised it took me this long to give shock oil a try, but it makes a huge difference with tight joints. I was seriously terrified to move Commodus's legs and transform him because those things were so tight, but a couple of drops of this stuff and it's moving around like came fresh out of the factory with no QC issues. And with the floor polish, I've had figures that have like ragdoll hips, and I put 1 or 2 dots of that in the joint, give it a day, and that's totally fine. They can do high kicks and actually hold the pose, assuming that their actual balance allows them to do that. I mean, the joints will hold up, but the physics could still be problematic based on the geometry of the figure. But regardless, that's how all that works. I know there are a ton of videos that cover this stuff online already, but I figured might as well throw my own out there for anyone who might not yet know how to go about doing this stuff or what to use. So, thank you everybody for watching. I hope this will be helpful to at least a few people. If it is, then it was totally worth making. And I will see you all the next time something needs fixing.